And because it's easy to talk about this, we said we're not going to just talk about it, we're bringing 30 kids who are going to live do it in a fishbowl environment. And then I'll be running some activities on the outside of the fishbowl where you can interact with what the kids are doing in a design challenge that is wide open. There'll also be a maker space with Makey-Makeys, Ozbots, Legos. It's not all about technology, it's about the mindset of being a maker. So please come over and join an hour with us. All of our presenters today will be in there at some point during the day also. Okay, commercial break done. On to our next presenter. And this is, I can't wait to hear this. 15 years in the making, a presentation he's always wanted to give. Welcome, Sean Wheeler.
Hey everybody. So hip-hop is the largest movement in American or world history. It is the quickest spreading movement in history. It is spread faster, way faster than anything like the Renaissance or anything like that. And basically it's a movement that flips something out of nothing. Hip-hop starts in a really raw spot. It starts actually, hip-hop has a birthplace. 1520 Sedgwick Avenue is where hip-hop was born. Like you can walk to the birth of where the movement started. And I think throughout this talk, I'm going to try to talk about what educators can take from this. 1520 Sedgwick Avenue may as well be room 105B. This is DJ Kool-Herc. DJ Kool-Herc lived at 1520 Sedgwick Avenue, and he is known as the godfather of hip-hop. He's the person who actually, on his own, created hip-hop. He's a Jamaican immigrant kid who lived in the Bronx. The Bronx, in 1977, when DJ Kool-Herc moved there, was a mess. It was the victim of a public works idea, right? Some kind of big public program that was meant to fix everything. Educators, we should probably know a little bit about those kind of programs. And the Cross Bronx Expressway devastated the Bronx. And eventually what happened with the Bronx is it became depleted, it became degenerated, it became a blight. And I always thought that it's incredible that hip-hop came from such an ugly and horrible place. But in the Bronx, there was this kid, Afrika Bambaataa. Afrika Bambaataa is another one of the godfathers of hip-hop. Afrika Bambaataa had something happen to him, like happens to many of our students. He had an opportunity. He had an opportunity to go visit Africa. And when he went to Africa, what he saw was black airline pilots, black bankers, black school teachers, and he had never seen that in the Bronx. And he came back to the gang-filled streets of the Bronx and said, let's stop fighting each other, and let's start running things. When our students begin to start saying stuff like, let's quit fighting and let's start running things, we should listen. So what Bambaataa did is he organized street parties. And rather than having the gangs fight each other, they danced together. You know, Beat Street, you know, these movies that some of us older people grew up with. That's kind of what happened. And in the playgrounds and the parks and the public spaces, like our public schools, people began to come together to form an art form that would revolutionize the entire world. Breakdancing started in the Bronx. And what did they dance on? Cardboard. Why cardboard? Because all the rich white people were moving out and they were leaving their boxes behind. And so they took somebody else's trash and made it a dance floor. The subway graffiti movement is another aspect of hip-hop, and that started in the Bronx in 1977 as well. And the idea there is that sometimes you have to paint your name 15 feet high for someone to pay attention to you. Our kids, our students are dying for someone to pay attention to them. And what we need to do is put some spray paint in their hands so they can ride on the trains of the world. This is Grandmaster Flash, a technological innovator. This is an EdTech conference, but I doubt anyone here has ever done what he did, which is create an entire new musical genre because he had a couple Technique turntables and access to a Radio Shack that was maybe or maybe not legal. We also have another aspect of hip-hop that we can learn a lot from, which is emceeing, the ability to hold a mic and rock it. In our classrooms, our students rarely get to hold the mic and rock it. And there's also the style. See, hip-hop has tons and tons and tons of innovators, people whose names we really don't know, because the people who started hip-hop aren't the ones who are getting paid for hip-hop, right? It's like us in the classrooms. The people who are doing the real innovation aren't the people who are on stages talking everywhere. Those of us who are doing the real work aren't on stages, we're in classrooms, right? We're at our jobs. And so if you're looking for the good innovation, look there. Hip-hop spread all over the world. There's Nepali hip-hop. There's Indonesian hip-hop, right? There's French hip hop and Spanish hip hop. And so there are some things there that no matter where you see hip hop, really you see these things pop up everywhere. One of the big ones is stay fresh. Educators, we have to stay fresh in the classroom. And I don't mean fresh like new, I mean like fresh. Like be nice, get nice, do things innovative, do things differently than you've ever done them before, and do them with the small amount of materials you have, because nobody's coming to save us, right? We're gonna have to make our own music, our own dances, our own way of doing education if we're gonna do it, because all the us in the world aren't gonna help, right? We need to collaborate with one another. But most importantly, hip hop is about audience. Hip hop is about getting up and it's disruptive, right? If someone's breakdancing on a dance floor, no one else can dance in that space, right? Where this guy is dancing, you can't do this in a club. You can't breakdance in a club. It was meant that way. We need to be disruptive in our classrooms. Let's do things that we're not necessarily allowed to do in school, and then do them big and gather a crowd. This is a picture of my studio at Design Lab High School. I'm helping to run a high school, and we put a recording studio in my school. You can see it's kind of janky, but you know what? We're creating great stuff. We're doing good podcasts. So here's what I would like to suggest to everybody to do. In your classrooms, pick up a mic, give it to a kid. Grab a spray can, give it to a kid, and have them right on the wall. Metaphorically, of course. Mix things up a bit. And then lastly, get some nice moves. Get out there, flaunt yourself like hip hop has always done. Have it be about you. Say what you're doing in your classrooms, and it'll be really exciting. Thank you.
What I love about all of these people, not just can come up here and preach about what education should be, they actually do the work. I was blessed enough a couple years ago to go up when Sean was working in Lakewood schools, and I got to spend a day in his school watching what he does. It was a thing of beauty. Follow his blog, Teaching Humans. He tells a beautiful story on there of the work he does. Because his school he's at does exactly what he just said in that last slide. They put the work in front of the hands and they make it public. He started off the school year with 100 pallets in their gym and told the kids to build something. Did you have any rules? No rules. How many of our schools do that? Okay? Let's put the control back into our kids' hands, and that's what we control, is giving our kids the control of what they do in the work. Thank you. Okay. Next up, we have Eric Curts. Maybe?
Woo!
Hey! All right. Howdy, everybody. I'm going to be talking about the 4 C's for education in my session here today. So as we get started, just be honest. When you heard me say the 4 C's, how many people thought this? Color, cut, clarity, carat, diamonds. No, not those 4 C's. We're going to be talking about 4 C's for education, and we're going to get there. But before we do, we've got to start with something else. We've got to start by talking about change, and a change that happened in the past. Jobs that used to exist that no longer do. I'm going to show you pictures of these jobs and see if you can guess what they are. I'll give you a moment to guess, then I'll give you the answer. First one up here. Oh, there we go. Can you tell what that is? What job was that?
Pin setter.
Yeah, bowling alley pin setter. Technology came along, now this is all automated. You're not even allowed to go down to the end of the aisle anymore or the lane, or you'll get kicked out. So that used to be a job you could have in the past that's gone away. How about these 2 jobs? What do you have there? Lamplighter and?
Telephone operator.
Switchboard operator. Again, jobs that somebody could say, hey, I'm set for life. I've now got this job, I'm good, I'm set. Technology came along and automated these things, you know? This next one? What are these guys doing?
Ice block for fridges.
Yeah, cutting ice blocks for fridges. Now, most people know this one because of the movie Frozen. Yeah, we've all seen this now. But again, technology came along. We have refrigeration now. We don't need that. What are these guys doing? What's this job?
Peeping Tom.
Peeping Tom, no. That job's still around. That's still fine. These are human alarm clocks. He's tapping on a window, she's shooting a pea shooter to wake somebody up. I bet most of you guys woke up this morning by your cell phone going off, right? Technology replaced it. How about this guy? What's he doing? Up at the top. He's a lector entertaining factory workers. That was his job, but now we've got Pandora and iTunes and all that playing in our ears. We don't have that job anymore. How about this dude?
Listening to something.
Listening for enemy aircraft before there was radar. So another job he could have had that, unfortunately technology came along and took that job away from him. Now we can laugh at those, we can say, oh, that's kind of funny. But what about our kids' future? What jobs that exist today do you think won't be around in our kids' future? Think about that for a moment. I surveyed a whole bunch of educators, and the next slide is going to show you their responses in a word cloud. See if any of yours showed up there. Cashier, bank teller, newspaper jobs, postal workers, teachers, factory jobs, assembly line. These were some very common things people suggested. One that catches my eye in there is drivers. I think about the big change that's coming with self-driving vehicles, okay? With the Google self-driving cars and the others. This is going to revolutionize transportation, taxis, buses, moving equipment across the country. So we're looking at a big change in our kids' future. So what skills do they need? What do they need so when jobs disappear, they're still going to have a future? That's where the 4 C's come in that I'm going to talk about. The 4 C's for education to prepare our students for the future that they're going to be seeing. The first of these is communication. So our students need to be able to clearly communicate their ideas with others. Sure, face-to-face, absolutely, but digitally as well. They need to be able to type and write and email and do hangouts. Another one, collaboration. That's the second C. Our students have to be able to work together, side by side, but also electronically. They're going to probably have a job where they're working with somebody in a different city or a different state. They need to know how to collaborate together. Creativity, the 4th C. Our kids need to make things. We've been hearing this all day. We can't just have them filling out worksheets. They need to be creating things, videos and comic strips and whatever else, and feeding back into the class the things they create. Critical thinking, the 4th and final C. We can't just give our students the information and have them spit it back to us. We need problem-based learning, project-based learning. We need inquiry learning where they discover the information themselves. They make the connections. So I've got the 4C 3A challenge for you guys. First of all, first A, we need to appraise our teaching and tools with the 4 C's. Just like the 4 C's for diamonds allows you to tell what's a good diamond, you need to be able to tell if technology, if lessons that you have are checking off these boxes. Are they doing communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking? You then need to apprise your students of the 4 C's. Let them know what these are and give them experiences with them. They need to be collaborating and creating and communicating and thinking critically in the classroom. And then the final part of the 4C 3A challenge is you need to apply it as well. As educators, we got to live by that. We need to collaborate together. We need to create. We need to communicate. We need to share our ideas of how to prepare our students for their future using the 4 C's. In the end, if we do that, they will be ready for whatever their future holds. And teachers will not be one of those jobs that's disappearing because we will be providing our students with the education, the skills, and the resources they need for their future. Thanks so much.
What gets assessed gets done in education, right? Are you assessing the 4 C's? Because if you're not assessing them, you're not guaranteeing that your kids are learning them. And if you think about, one of the greatest questions I've had asked me is, what do you want students to remember 10 years from now? Are they going to truly remember the content? Like spoken earlier, are they going to remember who the first 4 presidents were? Or are they going to remember how to collaborate, communicate, be creative, be employable, which is what those 4 skills. So one thing I challenge you to do is make sure you're building those 4 C's into your assessments. And if you're an administrator, encourage your teachers and staff to build those into their assessments. Next up, Scott Kinkoph.
The topic of my Fred talk is voice and choice. The idea that our students deserve to have some sort of say in what they're doing and how they're doing it. My name is Scott Kinkoph. I teach at the Brecksville-Broadview Heights City Schools. I am an instructional coach and a tech coach there working with teachers very closely in one-to-one and blended learning. Spent a lot of time talking with them about great instructional approaches. And so the thing that always runs around in my head when I come in and when I leave work is this idea of voice choice and authentic learning, and how do we get at that for our students to improve the learning experiences for all our students in every single one of our grade levels. And everyone sitting here is an education rock star. I don't care who you are, I don't care what you do, how well you do it, how often you're doing it. We are a rock star, and we make these engaging learning experiences for our students every single day. A fantastic rock star is David Bowie. He ended up revolutionizing rock with his way of looking at things. In fact, he, at the age of 16, finishing up his high school career, he produced a song that went top 5 in the UK. Another fantastic rock star is Annie Lennox, and she went to the London School of Music. And when she was done with high school, she ended up working with a couple of folks, and she started the band for the Eurythmics. Both of these folks use what I call their voice and choice. So exactly what do you and I want for our students? What do you want to have them experience and have them learn in your classroom, and how well do you want them to do it? So let's face it, we want more for ourselves, for all of our kids. We want them to experience really deep and engaging learning experiences, but we can't keep doing things the same way if we expect to get there. What we really need is a paradigm shift. We want our students to come in thirsty every single day for our class, because we know that the things we have to offer them are the things that they're going to need. And in this thirst for knowledge, when they come in, we want them to feel like they're engaged in the experiences that they're having, and our classrooms are real and relevant. But we have to take a moment to change our point of view. We've got to look through a different lens. Not the lens of a teacher that says I have to assess, I have to write lesson plans, I have to take data. It's looking at teaching and learning, specifically learning, through the eyes of students and what their needs are. We should consider giving them personal learning paths, the things that they need to get them farther along in their journey of learning. Not our journey of learning as teachers, but their journey of learning in the contents in which we're teaching them. What if we spent more time talking with them, not as getting to know them as people and as humans, understanding their voice, understanding their needs and their desires and the things that they want to accomplish while they're sitting seats in school. What if we spent more time in cooperative learning with them versus standing and talking to them? What if we spent more time in understanding their voice and the things that they want to get at and learn about? And don't get me wrong, we still have to cover standards and things like that. But when we get a chance to listen to the voice of our students, because this is the voice that really matters, when we listen to them, we can start to create things for them and help them along their own personal learning to engage deeply in teaching and learning for our students. And we want our students to grasp a hold, just like this kid on the lamb. It's no bull, but to own whatever it is that they're doing. We want them to take a look at the experiences that they're having and say, that's finally mine. We want them to master the content. And that's the reason why we give assessments and we write lesson plans and all of those things, but we want them to fully master the content in which we're expecting them to learn. And the last one is purpose. I can't tell you how many times when I talk to students, so what are you going to do that for? And they'll say, well, because the teacher told me so. But if we can give them real and relevant learning experiences that change the way that they look at their learning, then we have engaged them. So what's this whole thing have to do with? Well, if you're familiar with Dan Pink, he talks about motivation. Jamie Cassidy mentioned this morning about a triangle of autonomy, mastery, and purpose. If we get our kids to own what they're learning, and it's real and relevant to them, and we give them a chance to master it deeply, then we have them. But we need a revolution, folks. We got to go someplace other than we are now. Because if we're going to really get our kids to own what it is that they're doing, if we really want them to have ownership and purpose and relevancy in their life, then we got to change something. So I'm proposing that you take that textbook and you throw it out. I'm taking you take those worksheets, you shred them. I'm saying trash it and let's start in a new place where we're listening to the students and what they're telling us and how they want to learn, and the possibilities are infinite. The things that we can do with our students because of all the resources we have at our disposal can make a huge difference in their learning and in our classrooms and schools. Thank you.
So the first 7 presenters were given a set of constraints. But sometimes in your classroom, you're given a constraint and you don't really feel like you can work within that. So you push on those bounds. And sometimes we have to give ourselves permission to push on the bounds of our constraints and take a huge risk. And that's what you're getting ready to see, is we've done Fred Talks for 4 years now, and they've all been 20 slides, 15 seconds a slide. Now I welcome John Smith to take a huge risk as we get ready to, I'm going to have you come on out because I have to cue the video.
Is this thing working?
Your shoes are boring.
Thanks.
And he doesn't have tennis-ball shoes today.
Yeah, sorry, I don't have my orange shoes on today either.
Cue the video.
Oh, it wasn't on the slide down here. Can we go back?
Can we re-cue it?
Can we start over because it's not down? It wasn't down here. Don't look, everybody. Stop looking. All right. Okay. So anyway, my talk is going global. I'm John Smith. I am a husband and a father. Those are my 2 kids. Racing, yes. I teach for Alliance City Schools, technology integration specialist. I'm an Apple freak, and I'm a scratch golfer, as you can see. I am also, as of this summer, an Apple Distinguished Educator Class of 2015. So my story starts with a question, and it has to do with these students behind me. How do we get our students to stop looking like this, right? How do we get them to stop hating learning? How do we get them to stop hating me and everything that we assign them to do? So that was the problem. So I started off by trying to do something I think most of us have tried to do. I tried to be the cool teacher, right? I tried to do the fist bumps, I tried to talk cool, I tried to dress cool, and the kids just kind of looked at me like that kid, right? Maybe a couple smiles here and there, but for the most part, they hated what I did. So then I went on to the work, and I tried to do fun things with the work. Cool writing assignment prompts, cool math homework, whatever. But the kids, they saw right through that, and they realized that what my work was exactly what they thought it was. A letter grade or some points, and they were angry. They realized that the homework and the work that we were doing was nothing but a myth, right? It was not authentic, it was not real, it was just a myth, and they hated that. So I wanted to figure out how to change that. The other problem is that when kids look at us, they see us like this guy right here, right? They don't see us as teachers. They see us as little monsters that like to hold on to things. That ring is the homework that we do. And so these kids, they see us and we're like, my precious, right? We don't want to do anything with the work. But what we should be doing with the work is we should be sharing it, right? We should be letting our kids share their work with the world instead of just the teacher. And so like these kids are sharing their little peanut butter sandwiches, we want our kids to get their work out there to other people. The second thing is that the students don't see any purpose, and I know you've heard that a couple times already, but there's no purpose. And so just like General Zod here in Superman, he lost his purpose, all right, when Krypton blew up, okay? And so he got really upset, and the kids get upset when we take away their purpose as well. And as a matter of fact, the audience isn't listening for our kids, right? Because there is no audience. They're giving it to their teacher, right? If we're lucky, they might take their work home, but for the most part, there is no audience, and we need to change that for the students. The other important piece is feedback. And kids get feedback from us all the time, but when the kids see us give them feedback, they realize that it's because we have to give them feedback. Not because we really want to, but it's our job, right? And they hate that. Real world people will give real world feedback. So how do we fix this? We fix this by changing things in our classroom. We wanted to try something that hadn't been done before. We wanted to create something that was brand new and nobody had ever seen before. So this is how we started. In 2012, Apple introduced iBooks Author, and this is just a tool we chose. And it allowed anybody to write and create and publish books for free. And so we did, and we created a bunch of them. And the kids had so much fun doing this, and by the time the first one went live, the kids, I was a little nervous, but they ended up looking like this. They were super, super excited, just like this little kid on Christmas morning, right? And they were kind of like, wait a minute. And then they started scratching at the surface, and they're like, wait, this is really cool. And then they started fist pumping, and they were so excited that we have 80 books in the store, 40,000 downloads. Right now, we're trying to step up our game. We're trying to do collaborative work. And so we've done the Twema projects. We've done 3 of them so far. We have our 4th one that will be starting at the end of this month, Twema 4. And so these are global collaborative writing projects that we've done. And I can't wait till the 4th one starts. So my advice to you, unlock the doors to your classroom. All right, or better yet, break them down. Let the world in, let them see what you're doing, let them see what your kids are doing. Or at least try, right, to break down your doors, okay? The second thing that you need to do is you need to not be scared, all right, because this is only temporary, all right? The fear is only temporary. You're scared because you don't want to try something new, because you're not sure what people will say or what your kids will do. Take a risk, get out there, don't be scared. The last part is that we need to change this, so this isn't the only audience that this kid is going to see, right? His fridge. We need to change it so that the audience is the entire world. So the kid is putting his work on the world's refrigerator, not just his own. So, last closing thought, stop being this guy, right? We need to stop Gollumizing our schools and holding on to everything that we do like it's some precious golden ring, because it's just going to end up killing you and knocking you off the cliff anyway, right? So share your work, right? And help people out, help your kids out. Because when kids create for the world, they make it good. When they create for their teacher, they make it good enough. And good enough isn't good enough. All right, we need to change that. So share this stuff with the world. My name is John Smith. I am the iPod teacher on Twitter, and I hope my talk helped spark a little flame in you that would get you excited about trying something new in your classroom. Thanks for coming.
It was new. I was curious how he's going to pull that off, because all I saw ahead of time were the videos. That was phenomenal, to be able to time yourself up with the video. Let's give another round of applause for our 8 speakers who did an amazing job working within the constraints. I'll leave you with one thing, is that control. Focus on what you control, which is what you influence with kids every day. If you're an administrator, give the teachers you work with permission to take chances, like the ones that were mentioned today and shown today. If you're a teacher, give yourself permission to take a chance. Focus on the 4 C's. Really promote the work and make it public. Give your students an audience.